Hello, I'm Tamara Norman, and I'm Managing Director of Ketchum's Corporate Reputation Specialty. With me today is Lauren Butler, Managing Director of Ketchum's Employee Engagement and Internal Communications Practice. Together, we spend our time working with communicators and marketers on how to engage with their number one stakeholder, their employees. Today, Lauren and I will be sharing a few key trends in employee engagement that marketers and communicators should keep in mind as we head into 2022. Our first trend in employee engagement: we need less fluff and more substance. Let me explain what I mean by that. Like most everything else, the pandemic has dramatically changed the way companies interact with and engage with their employees. Early in the pandemic, when most office workers were remote and essential workers were focused on safety, employers spent a great deal of time and energy on keeping employees engaged through community building and on trying to maintain company culture. Companies brought team members together in a virtual world for social activities and provided opportunities to connect with each other during lockdown. Those efforts were important and meaningful. But now, as we edge towards 2 years into this pandemic, many of us are burned out. Some of us are going back to the office, others are hybrid, while still others remain fully remote. Employees now want less activities like group Zoom coffee hours or virtual happy hours, but want more business-centered communications. Employee engagement activities in 2022 should really be centered around ensuring leaders are sharing a clearly defined vision and company strategy, and helping employees see themselves in that strategy and how what they do every day at work contributes to the overall organization's success. Employees want real, human leaders that consistently share where the company is headed. And those employees want to make sure that they have the right coaching, training, and tools to grow professionally and be successful at their jobs. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren to talk about trend number 2.
Thank you, Tamara. So the next trend we'll talk about, we're calling Elevate the Essential, which is really about keeping the employee experience of our frontline workers front and center. So here we are in the fall of 2021, and we made it here largely on the backs of our essential frontline workers, from retail store workers to healthcare, food production, manufacturing, technology, restaurant staff, and the list goes on. These are the people who never left the proverbial office and put themselves at risk during the pandemic so they could do their jobs every day. They were there serving customers and coworkers, keeping the doors open, the lights on, and the world running. While many remote employees have also been working harder than ever from home, we owe these frontline employees a large dose of gratitude. And the good news is that, according to our new Essentials employee engagement study that we conducted earlier this year, a majority of frontline employees feel more appreciated by their employers than pre-pandemic, and more than half feel more appreciated by the public. So communicating with frontline employees has never been more important, whether delivering critical operations news to vaccine education news to messages of gratitude and everything in between. And it's up to us to now continue to build that momentum to further elevate the essential employee. And there are a few key communications tools to do that. During the pandemic, we've worked with many companies to develop mobile-first strategies to better reach the front line, such as employee apps. Through these apps, companies can reach the front line more quickly than ever with relevant information that's customized for their local markets and their business units, as well as important enterprise-wide news. It's also crucial to listen to understand their perspectives and what matters to frontline employees. For instance, many of them often think of their plant manager or store manager or regional leader as their CEO. Therefore, receiving recognition from these leaders that they see every day often means the most to them. It's equally important to understand what internal communications channels they are using now to receive information from the company. So if they don't have an employee app, they're likely not wired to the internet or email during the day. So many learn their company news from pre-shift meetings or their managers or on-site signage. And third, creating mechanisms for two-way dialogue with frontline employees is critical to understanding employee mindsets and building trust with employees. So this could take the form of surveys at kiosks on site, focus groups or Zoom calls. And if you're asking employees for feedback, it's critical to have an action plan and follow through quickly on their concerns. Finally, it's important to express gratitude for frontline workers. As corporate staff is returning to the office for the first time in 18 to 20 months, many are doing so while acknowledging the workers who never left through inspirational thank you campaigns and videos.
Trend number 3, health and safety in the workplace has been redefined. The pandemic has created a seismic shift in what employees want from their workplace. Health and safety have risen to the top in terms of importance to workers, and its meaning is broadening. So companies need to take a much more holistic view of health and safety. They need to go beyond the basics of mitigating COVID in the workplace and providing health coverage. They must think about the whole employee. In Ketchum's new Essential study, released earlier this year, we found that 46% of American workers view health benefits and flexibility as top priorities when it comes to their jobs. And a quarter of the U.S. workforce expects mental health benefits to be a part of what their companies offer. We talked earlier about employee burnout and how it is resulting in the re-examination of what's important in an employer. Employees are looking for their companies to help support them with non-work issues on wellness, diet and exercise, sleep time, and ensuring that they have time away from their jobs to be with their families. We've also seen vaccine mandates take hold across the U.S., and soon companies will be faced with dealing with vaccine booster shots. All of these factors point to a new way of thinking about the employee and the employee experience. What are the challenges for the enterprise now? No longer can it just be the problem of HR. It will take multiple functions within the company, from leadership to communications to operations to HR to legal, all coming together to put into place meaningful strategies that positively impact the overall employee experience. Now back to Lauren to bring us home with trend number 4.
Our fourth trend is celebrate employee loyalty. It's clear that the pandemic has forever changed the workforce landscape. Workers want to set better boundaries for themselves prior to returning to the office. They want more flexibility. They demand an inclusive environment. Meantime, 54% of companies globally are reporting talent shortages, which is the highest in over a decade, according to Forbes. In 2022, as the war for talent continues, we're going to see employer branding take the spotlight, with companies positioning themselves as a great place to work. There will be continued emphasis on mental health, as Tamara mentioned, work-life boundaries, and a renewed focus on business-centered communications. We will also continue to see the rise of employee ambassador campaigns, where we will empower passionate and committed employees to become strong vocal advocates on behalf of the company through their own personal social channels. And we will likely see the continued rise of employee resource groups focused on connecting people with shared characteristics or similar life experiences. So as employers strive to meet the demands of today's workforce through all of these various ways, and with an emphasis on the employee and their holistic well-being, employee morale, engagement, and retention will likely increase. And then the important question becomes, how do we celebrate and better reward employee loyalty? Much like the robust consumer loyalty programs that many companies have embraced, such as hotels, airlines, and retail stores, companies have an opportunity to reward and recognize employee loyalty in a more formal way. And we have an opportunity to further illustrate to employees that being loyal to a company for an extended period of time is a really good thing. So in 2022, I would expect employee loyalty programs to get a makeover.
Thanks, Lauren. For more information on these trends and all things employee engagement, visit our website at ketchum.com. Thanks for joining.